For this next guest, it's the first time that we get to introduce you to what's going on at AC Grand Rapids and what's going on in MLS Next Pro as their runway to 2027 has officially started. And we get to catch up with somebody who is the pride of Southeast Raleigh Magnet. We get to find out what's going on with the new, and I feel like we should have like a championship belt, the new club president for AC Grand Rapids. Time to catch up with Darrius Barnes and find out the why and find out what's going on in Grand Rapids. Mr. President, good to see you.
How's it going, John? Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
I mean, the question's more for you than it is for me, sir, because you're the one with the new gig and you've left North Carolina and you've headed up to Grand Rapids and all this stuff. So how's Grand Rapids, he asked for the first question.
Yeah, I mean, Grand Rapids it's a fantastic city. Me and my family haven't quite moved up there yet. I'm still back and forth right now between Charlotte and Grand Rapids, but no, the time we've spent there has been absolutely fantastic. It's an amazing city. Me and my family will have to get back used to the brutally cold weather, but I lived in Boston and New York, so that's nothing that's going to deter us away by any means. So we're looking forward to planting some roots and getting up there permanently by the beginning of the new year.
And my follow-up question is, why? What attracted you to this launch with this new franchise in Grand Rapids? What was it about this point of your career being in a front office was like, yeah, I think I'll go there?
Yeah, I think for me, first and foremost, it all comes down to the people. When you're working, especially in the sports and entertainment industry, and really any industry from that matter of fact, you want to work with good people. And for me, my litmus test is working with good people. When you're working in this industry and the highs are high, when you're working with good people, the highs are that much higher. But when there are those days and you're dealing with wins and losses, and you're going to have some low days. And when you're working with good people, those lows are a little bit higher as well. And so, after kind of going through the process and, meeting the ownership group and the leadership team there in Grand Rapids and understanding their track record, for me, it was, really a no-brainer. Their ambition to bring professional soccer and MLS Next Pro to Grand Rapids is very high. They're super ambitious and passionate about what they're doing. They're passionate about the Grand Rapids and greater Grand Rapids community, which is something that I can sympathize with. When you're doing this for larger causes and for the growth of the game and for it to be, really a civic asset in the community and add to the civic duty that the ownership is already inputting into that community. We just align and from a mission and purpose and value standpoint, there was tons of alignment. And for me being a passionate and purist of the game, we want to grow the game in these communities and put a city like Grand Rapids even further on the map. I think it's a very, very underrated city. And for me, it's about really showcasing the amazing things that this city has to offer and through soccer.
Have you always thought of yourself as a builder when it comes to taking jobs like this, or is this something that you're adding to your portfolio of taking and being a part of something from the ground up? Which part of this are you when it comes to franchises?
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me this probably 5 years ago, I never would have really said that. But I feel like the projects and the clubs that are being built seem to attract me. I don't know if it's a magnet. There's some magnetic energy going on there. Obviously, I was at the beginning with Charlotte FC, started there in 2021 and helped build that club, and then helped launch their MLS Next Pro team, Crown Legacy FC. And so, it's kind of really become a passion, of mine. But there's really something unique about this project, right? And I really think that this club has opportunity to be really the flag bearer of MLS Next Pro. Just from, that we're going to have our own 8,500, 9,000 seat stadium in downtown Grand Rapids. The community support that we're receiving, the excitement in the city that we're receiving. And, this is all coming, at, one of the most pinnacle and, momentous times in our sport with the World Cup coming here next year, which, I just heard you talking about, the qualifiers So it's just a great moment and a great time for a club like this to be entering the league, and us leveraging the World Cup to garner that momentum into our inaugural season in 27. So there's just a lot of intangibles and a lot of ancillary components that really excited me and attracted me to this job. And we have all the opportunity in the world to build something great, especially with the ownership group that we have in the Van Andel family and the DeVos family, and what I've seen from community support thus far.
What did you learn about yourself as a front office person from your time at Charlotte and at Crown Legacy that you think helps you out the most in launching what's going on up there at ACGR?
Yeah, for me, it's about just making sure. I mean, I alluded to it earlier. Just kind of bringing in, the right people and making sure that you're building in the right way. Like I said, I've been fortunate and had opportunity to be in at the ground level for a couple of these, and I've seen things that have gone, fantastic. And there's definitely some best practices to take, but also think you have to reflect and look at things that you wish you had done a little bit different. And so, I'm a big believer in experience is the best teacher. You can talk about things, you can draw all these strategic plans and map out all these strategic plans, but until you're actually in the weeds and you're executing and doing the grunt work, you really don't know how that's going to play out. And so I've had the opportunity to experience on how some of these have played out. And, we're going to do some things absolutely fantastic at AC Grand Rapids, but, we know we're going to make some mistakes along the way, or some things aren't going to fall in our favor. There's going to have to be, some adjustments. And so with that said, I think the biggest thing I learned is you have to roll with the punches. You have to, try to plan ahead as much as you can. You can't just stick with a plan A. You got to have that plan A, B, and C, and have those contingency plans laid out and a playbook of things of, if this goes wrong, where can we look in our playbook, our Rolodex, and figure out, how we can mitigate and stop the leak or shift to make something even that much better. And so I think leaning on some of those experiences from my time at Charlotte FC, as we rolled out that club, and then entering Crown Legacy FC into MLS Next Pro, all those experiences are going to come and be beneficial as we ramp up and start to roll out AC Grand Rapids.
What have you learned about Grand Rapids and the surrounding areas about what soccer means, how ingrained is the sport there in the Grand Rapids area? What have you learned about soccer in Grand Rapids with your time since you signed on?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very passionate city. The youth soccer there is extremely fruitful. I was up there for the announcement event, and we did it around a USA youth soccer event there in town, and just seeing kind of the joy on the kids' faces and the parents' faces and the community, and everyone wanting to reach out and connect and see how their businesses could work with AC Grand Rapids. For me, that really spoke loudly and spoke volume, just in terms of the excitement and the opportunity that we have at AC Grand Rapids to really be a community connector. We have a unique and rare opportunity to bridge to all the different silos of soccer in the city together for one greater cause, and that's for passion of the game and to grow the game. And it's also us as a club. How can we as a club support our community as well, for causes within soccer, but those causes without soccer as well. So it's my job to really get in there, get ingrained in the community, understand what's important to the community, and really how we can help. I'm a huge believer that that sports are a civic vehicle in terms of bridging people together and bringing people of all walks together. And I think that's even more so with a sport like football, a sport like soccer, that really has the ability to bring diverse groups of people together for a greater cause.
Darrius Barnes, new president for AC Grand Rapids as they get ready for the 2027 launch in MLS Next Pro, hanging out with us here on the morning show. And one of the things that MLS Next Pro has wanted to do is have the independent ownership, not attached to an MLS soccer franchise where you're in these different footprints, where you see it in Chattanooga and you're seeing it in Grand Rapids and you're seeing it in all of these different places. And it proves that the game doesn't have to necessarily be tied to higher divisions and professional franchises to succeed. What's it been like for you to see the game grow the way that it has, to where you're talking about soccer, professional soccer in a Chattanooga, professional soccer in a Grand Rapids, Michigan, in these, and I'm going to probably put $1 in the jar and go ahead and use air quotes, the atypical soccer market where you wouldn't necessarily think about it, but you're seeing it succeed. What's it been like for you to see the growth of the game in these atypical soccer markets, in air quotes?
I mean, for me, like I said, being a soccer purist, like seeing the growth of the game it's amazing. Just to, if you would have asked me this, me growing up as a little kid playing on the fields in Raleigh, North Carolina, if I thought soccer would be where it is today, I would have said you're absolutely insane. But that's me being a naive little kid also, and at that time, just seeing how many kids were starting to play the game, and just year over year over year, the participation continued to grow. And so that was really the opportunity, right? As the game grows with these generations, once you have that passion for the game, it doesn't leave you. You may stop playing, you may not participate anymore, but that passion for the game stays with you. And I meet so many people, my age and a little bit older, that say, I used to play soccer when I was younger. I used to play soccer at this age, and me and my buddies still, while we don't play, we watch all the MLS matches, we watch EPL matches, we watch Bundesliga matches, La Liga matches on the weekend. So that passion is there, and it's to continue to capture that and see how we can unfold that and pass those down to the next generation. And so, as these generations that grew up playing the game and they continue to be fans of the game, and they pass that fandom down to their kids, and they move into these different markets, when I look at it through that lens, I'm not surprised at all. And this is exactly what the beautiful game should be doing, should be growing in smaller communities. And just because you're a smaller market or a smaller community doesn't mean that your passion for the game is any smaller. And so you start to see that in some of these secondary and tertiary markets that have great followings and great fan bases. And that's what we want to do in Grand Rapids. It may not be the first city on the map when someone else think about soccer, but soccer is going to be paramount and pivotal for the fans in Grand Rapids, and we want to do everything that we can to amplify that.
As you have grown in your roles in front offices, now that you are sprouting your wings and leaving North Carolina and now a part of things in Grand Rapids, when you have a question about front office-y stuff, who's on your speed dial to sit there and bounce ideas off of, to sit there and go, well, I've got this thought and this is happening here, and I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about this. Who's on your speed dial to bounce ideas off of these days?
Yeah, I mean, that list is long. I think, as when you're, I've been fortunate enough to kind of see the game at different levels, whether it was from a youth soccer standpoint, collegiately, professionally, on the front office side. And so I guess it depends on kind of what we're talking, but I'll depend on former teammates of mine through my days at New England when we're talking about player profiles and systems of play. I'll revert to my time at Shaw FC. We're talking about building a club and the business, and we're looking at ticket sales and business intelligence and strategy, and how to best optimize and capitalize a stadium. My old boss Joe LeBou is absolute ticketing wizard. Learned a lot from him, from the commercial side of the game, but shifting to the sporting side. I played with some fantastic players. You look at the likes of a Steve Ralston or Shawry Joseph, Jermaine Jones, Lee Wynn, Toe Bunbury, players that some have retired and some are still playing in the league, and they've seen this transition, of the league. They've seen, MLS 2.0 and shifting into 3.0. I tell a lot of players now and people I speak with, I'm lucky to have played the game when I did play, because I don't think I could play in today's MLS with just how much the game has grown. When you look at the speed of the game, you look at the quality of players that the league is bringing in, and while the league definitely has room to continue to grow, I think the league has done a fantastic job just growing at a steady pace. And the World Cup is going to be momentous moment to continue to catapult that and be a trampoline for this growth trajectory that the league is on. So I'm extremely bullish and excited about trajectory of where MLS and MLS Next Pro is going.
So when it comes to what's going on there at ACGR, I know that you've got a to-do list. And this is what I ask executives and new coaches and new owners all across the board. This is a universal question that I have. I know somewhere you've got that to-do list. And knowing you probably wanted to start that to-do list about 3 weeks ago and just get moving. Where is that to-do list? Is it on a Google Doc? Is it on a notepad? Is it, is it like something like this that you write down? You've got like 19 legal pads that you've got going on. Is it, the ring binder notebook that's got all these ideas? Is it a Google Doc? Is it on a whiteboard that's like 4 feet by 8 feet long, takes up 2 walls in that space that I'm talking to you in off camera right now? Where is that to-do list of yours when it comes to AC Grand Rapids? And what do you think the next thing you can cross off it is as you continue to get ready for launch?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I need to consolidate my to-do list. I probably have a little bit on some white paper. I have a little bit on an iPad, kind of shifted digital. But lately I've been putting them in my OneNote. Now that I've kind of gotten ingrained with the club, I have my club laptop, I have my club credentials. So I'm trying to consolidate and put things in one place. And right now for me, it's exactly what you said. I have ideas that I'm putting on white paper, just how my vision for the club and collaborating with ownership, collaborating with leadership and understanding what their vision for the club is, getting to Grand Rapids and getting ingrained with, the community leaders and the fans and just getting to know them and understand what their priorities are. All of that is going to really dictate and shape the club. This is going to be a club for the people and for the community. This isn't my club. This isn't me imposing, my ideas, but this is taking the whole community's ideas and trying to build a club that represents that and is representative of that. And so I have a Rolodex of notes that I'm going through, looking at, staffing plans and seeing, where and when, I'm going to need help. By no means is this a one man or one woman show. This is going to take a collective group effort. And so kind of starting there, seeing what our staffing plan looks like throughout 26 and what that roadmap and ramp up looks like through 26, how we're leveraging, the World Cup to garner excitement and to get our brand out in the marketplace and engage with fans of the game. And then obviously, building the sporting side, as well, looking at coaches, looking at support staff and, scouts, and then starting to recruit players. While it seems like 2027 is a long ways away, it is not by any means. And the World Cup is just going to add lighter fluid to that and really ignite things and get things moving more rapidly. But this is the fun part. This is the fun part when you're able to ideate and think about things and figure out ways to be innovative and building a team.
So then I know that you're going to be looking for a particular kind of individual to help you in the build, whether it's administrative or player or what have you. What kind of personality traits are you looking for from those individuals that will get everything there in Grand Rapids off on the right foot when 27 hits? Because as you say, everybody's probably sitting there, 27, yeah, it's just, and you're like, no, you don't understand. 27 is right there, and it's going to come here before you know it. What kind of individuals are you looking for to fill in those spots who get it from launch in a situation like this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously for different roles, you need, particular skill sets, and those technicalities will come in play as we go through the process. But I think first and foremost, and I said it earlier, you need to be a good person and you need to want to do the dirty work. I want to work with people that, roll their sleeves up. They're servant leaders. They want to, exemplify by doing. They want to actually build and get their hands dirty. This isn't a sit up on your perch and, look from above and direct from above. This is everyone collaborating, working together to build a fantastic club and a club that, the city will be proud of, the city will want to support, and that's going to support its city at the same time. And so, like I said, just being someone who wants to collaborate, that's, not afraid to speak up, not afraid to share ideas, And I think we have to complement each other. We don't need a lot of people that are duplicative, doing the same jobs, right? You want pieces of the puzzle that fit and work together, because when you're building a club, that's what it's really going to be about. There are different components, whether it's the operations and the partnership and the ticket sales and the marketing campaigns, and then that builds the collective kind of flywheel and the strategy of how we roll things out. And so it's not just let's just throw things together and hope it meshes together. It's strategically putting the pieces of the puzzle together and making sure everything fits properly, works well together, and ultimately runs as smooth as possible. It's not going to always run smooth. We're going to have to, fine tune the car a little bit. We're going to have to rotate the tires, sometimes, and shake things up. But if you can go into it with, a sound strategy of how you want the pieces of the puzzle to fit together, I think you have a good foundation to build on.
What's more of a challenge, starting a franchise or getting an MBA?
Oh, that's a good question. I think starting a franchise, because getting the MBA, it was great, but it's structured and you have things laid out. I knew exactly what courses I was going to take. I knew which courses were going to challenge me the most. I knew where I needed to spend some more time. But for this, there's no playbook really. Like I said, I've done it in one respect before, but this is a completely different project, and this is a completely different city, different community, and so it brings its own unique challenges. But these are fun challenges. These are the things I get excited about, and for me, come March 2027, when we open up at home at Amway Stadium and seeing the faces of kids that are aspiring to be professional soccer players, and seeing the fans and the supporters cheering on the club, and seeing players step out onto the pitch for the first time, that's when that's all worth it.
And we're looking forward to seeing the growth of it, because we know that it's just around the corner. No matter what the calendar says, it is just around the corner. 2027 season in MLS Next Pro is going to get here before we all know it. We're all looking forward to it. The new man in charge in Grand Rapids. Darrius, it's great to see you. Congratulations on the new gig. We're going to be keeping an eye on it. We're going to be knocking on your door to ask about the progress report, to see the office space and the hermetically sealed all glass window with the window at the back and all of the meeting rooms and everything. Safe travels, getting everything uprooted and heading up there. And I know that you're going to be probably staring at Michael Jordan and Eddie Pope posters, trying to sit there and figure out what the next steps are when it comes to the build up there in Grand Rapids. Thanks for dropping by the morning show. I'll be knocking on your door as soon as everything gets ready for 27. Thanks for dropping by.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.